Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sake Revolution. This is America's very first sake podcast, and I am one of your intrepid hosts. My name is John Puma. You probably know that by now, but in case you don't, I'm the guy on the show who's not the sake samurai. I'm the other one.
And I'm your host, Timothy Sullivan. I am a sake samurai. I'm a sake educator, as well as the founder of the Urban Sake website. And every week, John and I will be here tasting and chatting about all things sake and doing our best to make it fun and easy to understand.
Tim, it is that time of year again.
Happy New Year, John.
We made it. We made it to the end of 2022. We're seeing, I want to say that 2023 is an eye shot right now.
Yes.
It's coming soon, coming real soon. It's coming in hot.
Yes.
And I think that one thing I've noticed is that nobody's talking about how 2023 is going to be their year. I think 2020, 2021, 2022, I think it's got everybody scared. Yes. And that's how things have gone now. Everybody's like, oh, you know what? Let's just see how this one goes.
Let's muddle through and hope for the best.
Yeah, hope for the best, yeah. But it was, I think, for us, generally speaking, we had a good year.
Yes, from a revolution perspective, I think we had a really good year.
It was a good year for the show. We had a lot of fun episodes, a lot of great people.
Mm-hmm.
I did the numbers. We had 22 guests on our show over the course of this year. 22. I mean, we also had that is counting that big 100th episode guest gala that I think we had like 8 people on that show.
Well, that should count double.
All right. Well, yeah, we had 14, I think, without the 100th episode, 22 with the 100th episode. That's great. That was a feel good episode. I really had a fun time. And I think this is a feel good episode too. That's generally how I like these little, celebrate the year, celebrate milestone kind of episodes. They're a lot of fun to do.
Yeah. We've done this 2 years previously and we just could not miss it again this year.
Yeah. We've had 44 episodes this year, which tells you we're not quite weekly, but we're really close.
We're trying our best.
We try our best. We definitely try our best. And a couple other notes that I came across when I was looking at what we've done this year. We started 3 new series.
Mm-hmm.
We started the Extreme Sake series, which has been...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But one thing about the Extreme Sake series is, I think at least, like, number one, we've done the most of that, of all of our new series, because there's a lot to explore there. It's a meaty topic. There's a lot to see and taste.
And it's also really fun to hunt down I felt like I was like looking for those extreme sakes, and you really have to research them, find them. Where can I get them? So that was really fun behind the scenes, was finding these extreme sakes and then introducing them to all our listeners. So that, I think we had a lot of those episodes because it was just really fun for us behind the scenes.
Yeah. And then we also started the Sake Vessels series this year, which has been also a lot of fun to kind of, it's evolved into this, can it be better than the wine glass challenge? And I think the wine glass is the winner and undefeated champion. But I do think that we're learning that these vessels bring different things to the table, and they're a lot of fun to experiment with, which I'm getting to learn a lot about these vessels, about like the history of them from you, and also like practically how they compare directly with other types of sake vessels. It's a lot of fun to taste like that.
Yeah. And I think it's raised my awareness of sake vessels too. Anyway, it was just so interesting to kind of a new awareness of sake vessels. And that's been a fun series for sure.
Yeah. And then the last one I want to mention that we started this year is that Crosstalk series where we've been talking to other sake podcasts. And that has been also a lot of fun. It's been a good time to speak to other people who are doing what we're doing and find out about what the sake scene is like in their part of the world. That's been a lot of fun. And we're not done there. We still have a couple more to go.
Yes, there's been new podcasts coming along, and it's great to see the universe of sake podcasts expand and grow. So, and it's fun to stay in touch with everyone. And we're the only ones in the U.S. still right now, but that helps us reach out across and go to other countries, like you said, and see what's happening. And everyone has their own enjoyment in their regions. And it's fun to see what's different with what we have here in the States.
Nice. I agree 100%. It's been a lot of fun. Now, I'm going to recommend that we do something a little bit different today, Tim.
What's that?
Since we're having a little bit of a celebration, I think we should have a little bit of a drink with our celebration.
Ooh, let's.
All right. So, since this is a little bit of a special episode, we're going to have a little bit of a special sake. This is actually a sake that I brought back from Japan. And when I saw it, I'm going to tell the story real quick about how I came across it. Everybody at home, you're going to learn a little trick for getting sake earlier in the day. If you happen to be visiting Japan, the large department stores, almost universally have a basement level that serves a lot of packaged foods or, like pre-prepared foods. And usually they also have a liquor store. And usually that liquor store has a fabulous sake selection. And oftentimes those liquor stores with those sake selections will have tastings during the early afternoon, or sometimes even a little bit earlier than that, maybe 11 o'clock a.m. They might start. But it's also a great place to shop for sake. So we were over at one of them in Hiroshima, and they had a refrigerator with a couple of small bottles. And I looked down at the small bottle, and the first thing I see is the cap says in English, Kami Kokoro. And I immediately remembered, yes, that's one of Tim's favorite brands. Mm-hmm. And I desperately needed to get that bottle and bring it back so Tim can have some. So we bought 2 little bottles of it. And we've had Kami Kokoro on the show before, of the peach yeast, if I'm not mistaken. But this sake here, we've actually never tasted before. This is a Tokubetsu Junmai called Nagisa no Uta. So this is the Kami Kokoro Tokubetsu Junmai Nagisa no Uta. Kami Kokoro is, of course, from Okayama Prefecture. This sake uses akebono rice that's milled down to 58%. It's always interesting to me when they have like a 58% instead of a round number like a 60 or even like a 55 or something like that. But yeah, 58%, very deliberate, I guess, very specific. And this one on the sake meter value, that measure of dry to sweet, is actually minus 2.5. So it's a little bit on the sweet side. And the acidity is only 1.1. So the acidity is you're not going to have a high acidity that like kind of balances out the sweetness. So the sweetness might really come through on this. And then the alcohol percentage is 14. So a little bit of a lower alcohol sake, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, no, I was so happy to get this small bottle from you, John. What a nice gift. Thank you so much. This is Nagisa no Uta, as you said, and I looked up what that means in English, and I think it means Nagisa is like the beach or the shore, and Uta is song. So maybe it means song of the shore or song of the beach, something like that. Yeah.
That sounds great.
And we should mention, this is not common for us, but this is a sake that is not for sale in the U.S. Normally, we make a point to profile sakes that people in most of the country can get their hands on. But today's kind of a special occasion. We have a little gift that you were kind enough to bring from Japan, so we are going to enjoy it.
Breaking the rules.
Yes.
Just for one day.
For one day.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So why don't we open up this Nagisa no Uta and give it a taste?
Yeah, but I promise no singing from me.
No, you promise?
I promise.
Okay. Get this in the glass.
All right. Got it in the glass.
All right. So we've got it in the glass. And the first thing I'm noticing, so it is very clear.
It's translucent. You can see through it. There's no particulate. There may be just a hint of a yellowish tinge to it, but it looks pretty water white to me. Should we give it a smell?
Yes.
You're going to laugh when I tell you what I'm smelling.
I'm ready.
We've talked about this before, but do you get any hint of circus peanut?
A little bit. I'm getting more a little bit more like a milky kind of lactic yogurty
Hmm.
on the nose. But yeah, there is that.
There's a
that
sweet.
circus
There's a
peanut.
sweet. For me, it's like that marshmallowy circus peanut kind of smell, and it has a inference of sweetness to it. But there is something creamy as well. Yeah, I pick up on that too.
Yeah, it's nice.
Mm.
It's a little bit different. This isn't your typical fruity fruit bomb.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right.
let's have
Give
a
it
sip.
taste. Mm.
Well, this is interesting.
It has, a noticeable sweetness when you take a sip.
Yeah, but the finish is a little. It's not like dry. It's not like Karakuchi dry, but it's a little bit on the drier side, especially compared to the beginning. The finish, I get this little bit of dryness on the finish. There's not nearly as much of that lactic quality as I was expecting when I smelled it. But there's a lot more complexity here than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that when I've had Kamikokoro in the past, usually their stuff, it's kind of like it shows all its cards right away, and it's kind of like, this is what it is. And this is a lot more, I hate to use the word interesting, but it's definitely an interesting, there's a lot to dig through here. There's a lot of like interesting stuff happening.
Yeah. For me on the palate, I really get that sense of like a marshmallow flavor. There's sweetness, there's richness.
Yeah. And it does bounce between those in a way. There's definitely a taste experience that brings you from sweetness over into like a little bit of richness, and then like a drier finish.
Yeah, one thing they're doing really well here is balancing that initial sweetness out with a drier finish, so it doesn't leave your palate all like over sweetened or too coated with sweetness. It finishes cleaner, as you said, and drier, and that makes for more enjoyable sipping, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely fun to sip. That is an undisputable fact.
But this is very different from other Kamikokoro sakes that I've had, and I've not had a lot of their range. We love their peach yeast unpasteurized sake, which is just right up there for me. And I've also tasted one of their Junmai Daiginjo sakes, which was just so beautiful. This one has a little bit more oomph, a little bit more. It's definitely sweet. And it's not a classic earthy sake. It's got sweetness and that cotton candy or marshmallow note to it, and then finishes dry. So it's a really interesting sake, but it's a different side of Kamikokoro to taste. So really fun. And this is what going to Japan can get you. You can try these different aspects of sake. So thank you again so much for bringing this from Japan for us to try.
No problem. I definitely get the impression from this. It tastes like they're having a little fun, like they're doing something a little bit different. They're getting, they're having a good time with this one. I don't know. That's what came across to me. I don't know, but yeah, very nice. I'm glad I brought it back. This is a fun one to sip.
For sure.
But now that we've had a sip of some sake, let's talk a little bit more about 2022.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, your highlights for the year, your favorite sake we featured on the show, and also if you had a favorite episode of all the ones that we did over the past year.
All right. Well, I think that for me, one of my favorite episodes this year was the time that we had Nancy and Michael, who wrote Exploring the World of Japanese Craft Sake. We had such a great time with them that we had to make 2 episodes out of it. And honestly, I could have gone like another hour just talking to them about sake. They were so interesting. And I just had fun nerding out with them about it. It was really a good time. And that's episodes 109 and 110. So go back and listen to those if you haven't. We had such a wonderful time with them, and I really think that the fun that we're all 4 of us were having really comes through in the episode. And those are kinds of episodes that I really enjoy. The ones where we're just really having a good time.
Yeah, it was really fun to talk with them. That was our first and only two-parter, and I think that it was really called for in that scenario. So I'm so glad we got to taste with them, and their book is amazing. And if you haven't looked at their book yet, be sure to pick it up. And if you're interested in sake, it's kind of a must-have book. So that really was a fun couple episodes for sure.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh, well.
Well, yeah, do you think I'm going to let you ask me that and then not return?
I had two episodes that I really liked. The
Okay.
interview that I really liked was talking to Kenta Goto, the bartender, and we made a cocktail together on air. You and I made a sake cocktail live on the show, and that was really fun. And, people are of several different minds in regards to sake cocktails, but I'm really proud of us because I think we approached it from a very fair and balanced point of view. And we tried a sake cocktail that was absolutely delicious. And it was so fun to talk to a true expert in cocktail making. Goto-san was so knowledgeable about cocktails and how sake can be folded into his world. It was just fascinating. And I came away from that episode really learning a lot from him about sake cocktails. So that was one of my favorite episodes. But I have a runner-up, which is...
But before you go into the runner-up, though, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Since that episode, have you made more Far East Sides at home?
I've done it at least twice since that episode. Usually when I have company over, I'm like, I can make a sake cocktail.
I made one for my shelves. I was like, I thought it tasted delicious. And I was like, this is going to be right up her alley. And she absolutely loves it. And it got requested around the house very often. So I had to make it quite a few times until we ran out of shiso leaves. Because you do have to go through a few of them. Because you got to muddle a bunch of them. And then you have one for the garnish on top. It's beautiful. It's really a great cocktail.
Yeah. So that was fun. And I think a runner-up episode for me that I really enjoyed was the survival Japanese for sake bars.
Yes, that's a really good pick. I like that.
Yeah. I put together the cheat sheet PDF with all the, broken down Japanese you can use. And now we can travel to Japan finally again. And I hope that people will find that episode and use those terms that we talked about that you and I learned the hard way. And I hope tourists to Japan will bring that sheet to the sake bar and get really delicious sake and have a fun, engaging experience when they're there, like you and I have done many times over the years. So just thinking about other people having fun with that cheat sheet, learning those terms, and just really enjoying their trip to Japan that much more makes me happy.
I could not agree more. And honestly, I had to brush up in my Japanese a little bit before I went. And so I also referenced that episode. I went back and reviewed it back in October before we went to Japan. And it came in handy. It was very helpful, I think. And I did have plenty of delicious Japanese sake when I was there. So it worked out.
It worked. That's awesome. Now, did you have a favorite sake that we featured on the show? Something?
Well, I have been agonizing over this a little bit. So for me, I want to say it is a little bit of, I have a cop-out answer. How's that?
That's fine.
Okay.
This is a safe space, John.
Okay, good. So on the one hand, I was really excited, and it was very delicious when we got to have G-Con on the show.
Yes.
That was really great. But I also thoroughly enjoyed when we had the 3 Saga Sakes from the Saga Sake event, and the differences between all 3 of them and how they showed off the range of sake flavors. That was just so exciting for me. And all 3 of them were really fantastic in their own way. It was a wonderful way for people to experience sake. And so that really stuck with me. So it's kind of like my favorite sake that I had individually was probably the G-Con. My favorite sake experience that we had was probably that one.
Yeah, the G-Con was a very popular episode as well, as far as downloads are concerned. It's a popular brand, and people look for it online. So every time I've had G-Con since then, I've enjoyed it. It is amazing sake. And the Saga sake set, we had Jessica Jolly on the show, and she introduced us to those 3 sakes from 3 different producers that kind of made this set of 3 different Saga sakes. I agree with you completely. They were so different. It's like they went out of their way to make contrasting styles, and to taste them one right after the other was like a way to see what sake can do.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that set is such a phenomenal way for new people to experience sake. From to go like, oh, well, their sake tastes like this, their sake tastes like this. And then there's this completely, you bring out the koshu, and there's a completely different one over here. That's that umami driven mushroom bomb. It was just really interesting and it was so much fun to go through.
Yeah, I agree. Those were great. Now, my favorite sake is also going to be a little bit of a cop-out. Is that okay?
Uh-oh. Yes. Well, I can't really call you out.
So episode 113, we did a branded episode featuring, drumroll please, Kami Kokoro.
Oh, wait a minute.
So we mentioned earlier, we're tasting Kami Kokoro Tokubetsu Junmai today, but we had that peach yeast unpasteurized sake, and that's just, it is in the Hall of Fame for me. I order that by the case, have it shipped in by the pallet, and it is something I really, really love.
I could be wrong here, but Tim, to my knowledge, you're not the kind of guy who does that. You don't really buy like a case of one sake usually.
No, my jam has always been to try as many things as I can. And when I go to a sake shop, I usually grab the bottle that I've never tried before. If there's one there, that's the one I want to grab because I want to try new things. But sometimes you just need that tried and true favorite treat that you're just going to love.
And this is that.
And this is that. This is one of those. There's a short list for sure, but this one, it was so great to do an episode dedicated to that brand. And that was just like, for me, it just can't fail. So that is one of my favorites for sure.
I don't think that's a cop out, Tim. I think that is enthusiasm.
Yes. I got that.
Yes. Definitely enthusiasm. That's nice. That's really cool. Yeah. So in addition to Sake Revolution events of the year, a lot of things happened in sake as well, just outside of our show. Joy of Sake returned. That was a blast. That we had a lot of fun there. You and me walking around with our Sake Revolution t-shirts and tasting all manner of sake. We had version 1.0 of the Advent calendar happen this year. We had just a few episodes ago. We had Paul on the show. We talked about that. And that was a lot of fun. Did you end up, what did you end up doing with that, by the way? Did you go through every day?
Well, I got the Advent calendar and I was traveling a bit in December and I didn't dedicate each and every day to opening it up. So I did kind of cherry pick cups here and there. And I didn't get to drink the 720 yet from the 24th. But I'm just going to spread it out a little bit into January and enjoy the cups at a little bit of a slower pace.
I think that's fair.
But it was still a lot of fun. And Namazake Paul did a great job with the Advent calendar, don't you think? It was a fun thing to do in December. Listeners
may remember that we had a couple of preview cups on the show. I think at the time that we had done the show, we didn't have the boxes yet, the actual Advent calendar boxes. And that thing was huge. It was absolutely massive.
In the best way.
It needed to be in order to keep everything secure and beautiful. And it was really easy to work with and was really a lot of fun. I got sick during one of the weeks, so I had like 7 days worth of cups that were sitting there and I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? And then once I was feeling better, we made kind of short work of the backlog.
Good.
But it was nice. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it kind of sat. I put mine on my dining room table and it was kind of like a Christmas decoration. It was like a backdrop.
All right. We put ours under the tree.
Oh, that's nice too. I like that.
Yeah. Under the tree, and then every morning we would just open it up and take the cup of the day and put it in the fridge so that by the evening it's ready. It became part of my work ritual.
That's awesome. Yeah, so we did have that advent calendar. Anything else happen in the world of sake this year?
I have one other on my list here, and despite being a fan of the New York Mets, long-suffering fan of the New York Mets, we cannot legally set foot into Yankee Stadium without bursting into flames. A major sake brand is now advertising on the billboards at Yankee Stadium, which is something I never thought I would see in my lifetime. I've always thought that was like getting sake out to people who don't know about sake. You have to do advertising in places that are not places you're normally going to see sake. And the billboards at Yankee Stadium, exactly one of those places to me. So I thought that was very interesting and very surprising.
Well, you can't help wonder about the ROI on that type of advertising.
I hope it's good. I don't know if they actually serve the sake at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
I think they might have it in some of the premium seats. They may sell some sake, but I don't think you can just go up to the regular concession stand and get like a beer and a sake. That's what we need. That's the future. That's what we need. Yeah. We definitely need to get sake in places that are not just Japanese restaurants. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, before we wind up, we do have one more unfinished piece of business, JP.
Oh, do we?
We actually made resolutions for 2022, our famous, shall we say infamous revolution resolutions. And I don't know how we're going to do this year. Shall I refresh your memory?
Sure.
Okay, so John Buma's resolution for 2022 in regards to sake can be boiled down to one word: documentation.
Yeah.
So you wanted to keep more notes and document more of what you were drinking.
Yep.
And my resolution was to drink less but higher quality. Okay, so
all right.
We'll go to you first. How'd you do, John?
Let me tell you, I started off the year strong. I was taking lots of notes. I had a book I was filling up. I was doing real well. Problem is, like, once you get the one situation where you forget, after that it's easy to keep forgetting.
Yep.
And I did have a mild resurgence when I went to Japan. I was logging the sake I was drinking in an app so that I could try to fill in the entire map of Japan with have a sake from every prefecture. I got close, Tim. I got really close. I didn't quite make it, but I got really close. I think I only missed like 5.
Wow.
That's not bad.
So you did documentation in 2022.
I just didn't consistently do documentation. I have sporadic documentation. I started the year strong. I ended the year strong, but in the middle, not so much.
Yep.
Yeah. And how about you? Are you drinking more high quality sake?
I think one thing I have done is what we mentioned a moment ago, ordering some brands that are high quality, something I love, and just having those really delicious comfort sakes on hand. So I have stocked up a little bit more on the higher quality sakes that I know I'm going to love and just want to treat myself to sometimes. And I prefer that to buying bottles willy-nilly that I've never had before, and sometimes they turn out to be really horrible. So
they backfire on you. Tim.
They do.
But hey, when you end up not liking them, they become candidates for the Extreme Sake series.
Extreme dislike.
Oh no.
No, so I feel like I have focused more on higher quality sakes, but I think when you reach a certain point, you know what brands are really special to you, and I did make an effort to have some of those on hand for those days when you just want to check out. You don't want to be the sake researcher anymore. You just want to enjoy yourself with something really special. So I did make an effort to do that.
All right. That's good. That is pretty good, Tim. I'm very impressed. That's very nice.
I think we both did okay with our resolutions.
I am not satisfied with my performance. I will tell you that. I drank a lot more sake than I recorded, unfortunately.
So, John, what do you think? Are we going to do resolutions again for 2023?
So, Tim, here's what I think we should do. I think yes. The answer is yes. Yes, we should. And I think what we'll do is we'll open up our next episode with these resolutions. We really want to think about them, give it a little bit of time, really get some good ones that we can do. I want success. I want us to be successful, and I want to have a little fun with it. And so we'll open up the next episode with our revolution resolutions. It just flies off the tongue.
It rolls right off the tongue.
And we'll talk about it then.
All right. That sounds good. We'll give ourselves a little time to think and reflect and come up with something really good.
All right.
Well, thank you, John, so much. Thanks for the wonderful Kami Kokoro hand carried from Japan. Appreciate that.
We do what we can.
And great to taste with you as always. Another fantastic year in the books. And I want to thank our listeners again so much for tuning in. Thanks for hanging with us this whole year. A special shout out and hello to all our patrons. If you'd like to join our community on Patreon and support Sake Revolution, please visit patreon.com/Sake Revolution to learn more.
Now, as Tim mentioned, this is a listener-supported show, but there are other ways to support us. You can leave us a review over on Apple Podcasts. It really does help other people discover our show. They go to Apple Podcasts and type in sake. This is the thing we want them to find, right? So reviews are what drives that. That's what makes it happen. So until next time, please grab a glass. Remember to keep drinking sake and kanpai.
Happy New Year!